Hello. Just wanted to do a few opinions and predictions for the fight night this Sunday. Strickland versus Hernandez. A couple of good fights on this card. A couple of names that interest me. Also, a few names, a few fights I think are going to be pretty average. But as we go up the card, obviously the fights get better. So the first fight I wanted to just talk about is the Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King, versus Yadier Davili. This is a pretty interesting one. Jordan Levitt, always a very hit and miss fighter. He strikes me as the kind of guy that's a bit gay, but I don't know. He's got an interesting style, and he's sometimes he's pretty good to watch. Paddy Pimblett fight, that was a good one, but he's always been a very grappling heavy guy. He's got good ground and pound, but I don't think he'll get it done against Yadier. Cuban, 10 wins in a row. He's only had one fight in the UFC, two fights in the UFC, won them both by sub. Isaac Bulgarian fight, I was sort of backing Isaac in that one, but no, Yadier proved me wrong in his second fight in UFC. So, I'm definitely leaning towards Yadier. I think it'll be a very grappling heavy fight. Probably will go to points, I think. I think both guys are going to be looking for subs, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of rolling around. Probably suits Jordan Levitt a bit more. But, also like his haircut. I hope he comes in with that mohawk. Kind of looks like the taxi driver. So, anyway, I'll leave it at that. It should be an interesting... Oh, and it's his first time cutting to featherweight, which is, interesting. I think it suits him, It puts him a little bit more on par with the other guys. He was always a pretty small lightweight. But I think he can hold his own. Like I said, I would probably go Yadier by points would be my prediction for that one. There's a couple of other good names on the card, but, Jocelyn Edwards versus Nora Cornell. I don't really rate that fight, but I think Jocelyn Edwards will get that one done by points. She's a bigger girl, a bit stronger. Ode Osborne versus Albidi Idris. I like that fight, Ode's a big guy, good striker. Albidi will be looking to take him down. I'd probably lean towards Ode just for his experience, even though he's not very consistent. But Albidi coming in off the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, so we haven't seen a great deal from him. Obviously, he did good against Joseph Morales in the sort of introduction to UFC. He lost that fight by sub, but I think that was a one-off performance from Joseph Morales. Don't rate him very highly. I'm leaning towards Ode Osborne just for the experience factor. He's fought pretty good guys, bigger names. He hasn't won a lot, but I think, more than likely he'll get this done by either KO or on points. More likely on points. The old Jamaican sensation. So that should be a pretty entertaining fight, I reckon. Next one I wanted to go into, one I'm looking forward to a bit more than some of the other fights for sure, is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Chitty Njukwani versus Carlos Leal. Now, this will be a banger of a fight. Carlos is a funny guy. You never know what you'll get with him. He looked pretty average in his fight against Muslim Salikov to get knocked out by a 40-something-year-old. That's not good signs. And Chitty Bang Bang's no spring chicken himself. He's 37. He's a little bit taller than Carlos, which I think will favour him. And a massive reach, 203 centimetres is huge. Welterweight, he's a big guy, Chitty Bang Bang. And Carlos is he's no small fella himself. But, his only win's been Alex Morono. And that was a KO in round one. So I think, being Brazilian too, I think that's going to help him. He's tough, the Lion's his nickname. So I think he's going to probably take a beating over 3 rounds from Chitty Bang Bang. As long as he stays safe, he sticks to the outside, moves around the ring, uses the footwork. I think Chitty will pick him apart. He could get a finish, but I believe Carlos will show his heart in this one. I think he'll get pieced up for probably the whole 15 minutes. But you never know. He could land a lucky shot. Chitty's just a bit hit and miss as well, and especially being 37, coming to the later stages of his career. Good win over Yeleski dos Santos. That surprised me. I thought it was picking Dos Santos in that one. Good win for Chitty there. So yeah, I'll lean towards Chitty in that one, possibly by points. Could be a stoppage, but I think more likely pieces him up for the whole 15. Another one I'm looking forward to is the Michel Pereira fight. Really liked his style when he first came into the UFC. Not something you see every day. The guy was dancing to the octagon, flipping all over the place. That was crazy, You don't see that often, especially, at the UFC level. Yeah, that was quite interesting. But he's been on a bit of a flat spot lately. Very disappointed in his last fight. Knocked out by Kyle Dawkins. 3 losses in a row. But, good talent. Anthony Hernandez got him, who we see in the main event, which, 5th round KO. That's nothing to be ashamed of. I think, he held his own in that one, Michel. Zachary the Savage Reese. Don't know a lot about this guy. He's obviously had a few fights in the UFC. He's got a pretty good record. Lost to Cody Brundage. That's a bit of a grey mark on your career. But, since then, he's been pretty good. Dusko Todorovic, that's a good win. Jackson Mavet, that's a good win. And his last fight by sub. He could look to probably sub Pereira, but I think he's pretty good in the grappling department too. So, his last win was a sub of Ihor Potieria, and I don't rate Ihor very good. He subbed Michel Olasechuk too in the round 1, so coming off of 2 good sub wins, his last 2 wins were good subs. He's always entertaining. I hope he goes back to flipping around, but I don't want him to blow his wad either. Zachary's much bigger, but I mean, Michel Pereira's solid. He's a thick motherfucker. Yeah, I'm probably going to lean towards Demolidor, but I think this will be an even fight. This will be very close. I think probably Michel's best bet is to stay quick, stay moving, keep it on the feet. I think Zachary's probably going to look to shoot takedowns. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets caught with a flying knee or something. Michel goes for some crazy fucking jumping move and lands something good. That'd be entertaining. But yeah, like I said, I really hope he brings a bit of a flashy style. He doesn't have to be doing all backflips and stuff, but maybe throw one in there every now and again just to liven up the crowd. And I think, yeah, dance around a bit. That'd look good. I hope he puts on a clinic and we get to see a little shades of the old Pereira. Old Demolidor. So yeah, I'll go Pereira in that one. I'll go in by KO, I reckon too. Probably rounds 2 or 3 KO. Next fight, the only heavyweight fight on the card, we got Sergey Spivak versus Ante Deligi. And this guy's pretty active, this Ante dude. I'm surprised he's fighting as quick as he is after the Waldo fight. That was a strange one. The eye pokes and everything, and then Waldo gets back up and knocks him out. I didn't see that happening, but I was always tipping Waldo in that one. But I thought, I was picking Marcin Tybura to beat this Ante dude as well. But he's shown me that he's pretty good, this fellow. Sergey Spivak, hit and miss, man. Hit and miss. I liked his style, He's got the polar bear nickname, and, he doesn't really live up to the hype. He should be dragging these guys down and submitting them, but he hasn't had much luck at it lately, that's for sure. He's coming off a decision to Waldo, so he's got a good chin on him. But Ante's just a motherfucker. He is coming out blasting shots. So, be interesting to see. Maybe after getting knocked out by Waldo, that might slow him down a bit. I think he's got to stick to his style. He's got to come out and keep winging punches. And he's such a big, heavy dude. Like, when he knocked out Marcin, I thought Marcin could take a good fair few shots, but he proved me wrong. That was a good punch that landed, but, the power, they almost look like they're coming in slow motion, but the power behind each shot must be insane. So yeah, unless Sergey can get him to the ground and really wear on him and make Ante gas out, I'm going to go with Ante Deligi in this one by KO, I reckon. Probably early. I don't think he'll run through him, but I think he's going to come out with them heavy hands again. Slow motion punches, winging big hooks, but, also good technique good straight jabs, really clean straight punches. I'll be surprised if he doesn't land on Sergey's jaw in the first round and probably, have an early night. But like I said, don't be surprised if it goes a couple of rounds, maybe round 2 KO, because I think he'll be a little bit gun shy and he'll probably, especially after getting knocked out by Waldo. He looked good in that fight too, though, man. Disappointing. He really should have got that done. All right, we'll go up to the next one here. Dan Ige versus Melziquel Costa. I love my Brazilians, man. Dan Ige's a hell of a test. He's been at the top for a long time. 34. Melziquel's 29. I'm definitely leaning towards the Brazilian in this one. I think, he's shown that he's a good grappler. When he choked out Andre Fili, that surprised me. I didn't have him doing that, especially in the first round. That was a good fight. Guillotine choke in round 1. Can't say Andre Fili's fallen for that too many times, and he's been good ever since. Knocked out Morgan Sherry in his last fight with a massive head kick. That was beautiful. So I've always been pretty high on this guy. Younger fella coming up, still making a good name for himself. Dan Ige's been at the top for a fucking long time, guys. He's fought all the good guys. He's not always won. He's always entertaining. Old 50K, looking for a bonus. Look, I'm probably going to lean towards Melziquel. I think, he's going to prove us that he's better in the grappling department. He's a little bit taller, which I think is going to play a factor in this fight too. Not a great deal with the reach, but just being a bit taller, a little bit younger, a little bit fresher, still wanting to make a name for himself. He's getting good, he's getting a good build up from the UFC. Nothing too crazy. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sub, but Dan Ige is just, he's one of those tough, resilient dudes. If he's going to lose, it's more than likely he's going to lose by decision. I don't think he's ever been finished. Yeah. So it's tough. But Melziquel will be hot, man, coming off that KO knockout of Morgan Sherry. Yeah, definitely Melziquel, but I don't know how he gets it done. I think he's going to probably look to grapple. 50K is going to be bouncing in and out. I think he's going to be hard to hit. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is Melziquel by points in this one, I think, because Dan Ige's got the experience. He's a survivalist. He can take shots, he can grapple well, he can hold his own, and he doesn't put himself in any super bad positions. Melky could catch him with the head kick. I think he got a bit lucky with that one, but, he's a killer. He's a young up-and-comer, and he's fucking got all the best technique. All the stats would be on his side. I think he'd be stronger, he'll be faster, he'll have more cardio. I think he'll be, he's a bit taller, so I'm definitely going the Brazilian, but I can't really say for sure how he gets it done. I'll go with points, I reckon. I think, Dan Ige's experience is going to shine through in the fight, but he's not going to, I think it's going to be clear, decision, unanimous to the Brazilian. Another one, here we go. Jeff Neal, Uros Medic. Now, Uros is not very good in my opinion, and I used to like Jeff, I still like Jeff Hands of Steel Neal, but he has gone a bit quiet lately. I really had high hopes for him. He's looked good against really good guys like Shavkat. I think he, even though he got choked out, standing rear naked choke, he still looks good. He knocked out Vicente Luque. That was brutal. Carlos Prates, obviously, in the last fight there with the spinning elbow. That was something, I didn't see Jeff Neal getting caught in that manner. I always thought Carlos Prates would get him done. Younger guy. Obviously, Jeff Neal's getting a bit old, 35, but a spinning elbow like that wasn't what I had on my fucking predictions. And I think that's gonna make Jeff Neal a bit gun shy for sure. He's not gonna want to walk into something like that. But he looked good at the start of that fight. I think he was doing pretty well against Prates. Uros Medic beat Muslim Salikov by KO. Didn't really see that happening. But that was in November 2025. Uros is good, the old doctor. He's a little bit taller than Jeff Neal. I think that'll play into the fact I don't see him knocking Jeff Neal out. Tim Means, that's not a great win. And then he lost to Soriano. So Uros Medic is one of those guys you can't really trust. A little bit hit and miss. Mitterbeck Oralai, subbed him. I like Jeff Neal, and I think his experience will come through in this one. I think he's fought some pretty high level guys. This will be a bit of a step down. I don't think Uros Medic is that good, but he's a bit younger. Jeff Neal's 35, Uros is 32. Jeff's obviously got a little bit of a longer reach. I think that'll come in handy. I think this is going to be mostly a stand-up affair. Probably pay Uros to try and just mix in a few takedowns, but Jeff Neal, later round KO, but more likely, I think, on points. I think he'll be a bit gun-shy after the brutal Carlos Prates knockout. Yeah, I think he'll probably play it pretty safe in this one. Try and hold on to his ranking, But if Uros wins, we could be looking at another good up-and-coming star in the division. All right, the main event, guys. The Mexican versus the immigration agent. So Strickland, what can you say? Everybody knows Strickland. You know his style. You know what he brings to the table. It's not going to be anything different, guys. He's not going to come out and throw a flying armbar on him or anything fucking exciting like that. It's going to be teeps and jabs, boys. And probably a decision. Anthony Hernandez, though, what a run. What can you say? What a run. Subbing Robin DeLeadze. Decision to Brendan Allen. KO'd Michelle Pereira. What a mixture of knockouts, submissions, even his decision against Brendan Allen. That was a good, exciting fight. Sean's a little bit taller. I think he's got a hell of a chin on him. I don't see Hernandez knocking Sean out. But, it could happen. Hernandez is just a wild man. I think he's going to want to make a point to meet Sean and play his game and just outclass him. But the thing I like about this fight is it seems like Hernandez has a style where he just wears on people and he gradually takes control of the fight. He'll just set the pace and he'll keep pressuring and keep pressuring and keep pressuring. And that's pretty much what Strickland does, just in a way less exciting fashion. He'll be the man in the middle and make you work around the outside, and he's just going to keep coming forward. So these two guys are going to meet in the middle of the octagon, and it's going to be almost a case of who breaks first. And, Strickland's won this battle time and time again. So I think that says a lot about how truly, tested and, he's worked his game for so many fights where he just stands there and he'll take a few punches and he'll give his little jab and his little teep and he'll do it for the whole fight. So unless Hernandez can get something started early and really set the tone with heavy grappling, I think is going to be the key to success here. I'd like to see him get a sub. I think that's probably the easiest path to victory. But, Sean's never been submitted. He's never been knocked out. He's never been stopped. He's tough as nails. He's been stopped. Alex Pereira knocked him out. But you know what I mean? He's just a tough son of a bitch. And he's in Texas too. I think there's a lot of Mexicans in Texas. So it's going to be a 50-50 crowd. There could be a few riots after this one. But I don't know, guys. It's a good fight. I like Strickland. Don't get me wrong. I think he's for what his flat standard style, he makes it as entertaining as he possibly can. I like when he gets on the mic and he says some shit. Makes it a bit more entertaining. But his fight style, for what you're going to get, it's going to be as good as it can be. The technique is there. Everything's all there. The cardio, the pace, the pressure. But Hernandez, he's just a wild man. I'd love to see him get Sean down and bust him up with elbows, but I think that's going to be the biggest telling point in this fight. If Hernandez can't get Sean down, he's not going to win a stand-up battle over 5 rounds, in my opinion. I think I'll probably go with Sean by decision. I think it's going to be the easiest path to victory for him. Set the pace, get out there and just start plodding along with your jab and your teeps. And like I said, if Hernandez can get him down, a sub would be the best route for him. But yeah, I mean, Sean's done it so many times against best guys, even against like guys like Duplessis to go the 5 rounds and raise a thin decision. Yeah, hell of a fight, hell of a main event. Good fight for Hernandez, up and comer. Sean sort of holding his spot a little bit here. Yeah, I think if Hernandez gets this done, you got to get him right up there for a title shot. Sean obviously wants to work back to that, but you know, I think Khamzat will fucking wrestle the fuck out of him anyway. So I'd prefer to see Hernandez win this and get the shot, but I don't think he can, man. I think it's going to be too hard to break Strickland. Yeah, and I'm kind of keen to hear if he says some fucking crazy shit on the mic afterwards. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, hope you enjoy the fights. Bye.